all, it's me, CheesyPaninie. So this morning when I woke up, I saw this Twitter post from Cennxx saying, "True or false, I would give up an existing paint to get Echo Paint." A few people probably thought, why would I need to give up an existing paint item? Why can't we just add a new one? And Cennxx actually responded saying it has something to do with coding. You see, Terraria is a 32-bit game, which means that it can only load 32 bits at a time and can use only up to 4 GB of RAM. I'm not gonna pretend I completely understand how that works, but the long and short of it is, because Terraria is a 32-bit game, there are certain limitations on what can be coded into the game, and as it stands right now, it looks like we can only have up to 31 colors of paint. The 32nd bit is probably the original unpainted version. Again, I'm not a programmer, this is just my understanding. Please feel free to correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. So anyway, before I answer Cennxx's question, I want to talk about each option. First option is giving up an existing paint. Like I said a while ago, there are currently 31 paints available in the game. Personally, I would advise against removing any of these paint colors because they've become pretty essential in people's builds one way or the other. So for this video, I'm just going to focus on 2 of my least used paint, which are negative paint and illuminant paint. Negative paint inverts the colors of an item. It changes the colors to the colors on the opposite side of the color wheel. For example, dark blue violet, when inverted, will turn to light yellow. This paint kind of works as an alternative color of sorts, and one of the reasons I could think of as to why some people don't use it so often is because the outlines also get inverted, and while it works on some cases, on others it stands out a little too much paired with other items of normal colors or other paint. Another reason could be because the color of negative paint isn't as straightforward as the other colors. If you wanted to color something red, you get red paint. If you wanted it even darker or more saturated, you get deep red paint. It's very simple. But for negative paint, you kind of have to do some mental gymnastics in your head to think of what the opposite color of green is supposed to be or apply it on the item before finding out or realizing, hey, it's pink, I can use it for this, and so on. Especially if you're not familiar with the color wheel or inverted colors in general. However, when you do take the time and look through the items in inverted colors, you could find amazing alternative items to use for your builds. Some examples of the use of negative paint include painting leaf blocks to turn them pink and create cherry blossom trees, painting ice blocks to make them look like magma, and even turning dark items into pastel-colored ones, which are scarce among the unpainted items in the game. I find that when there's a certain shade of color that I want that the other paints can't give me, negative paint sometimes has the solution. On the other hand, illuminant paint doesn't actually change the color of the item it's painted on, but it completely removes all shadows from the item. Like negative paint, its use is very niche and situational, but still quite useful in its own right. You can use it to give off a fake light effect, illuminate an item in a dark place, and even make it more visible underwater. It also keeps its original colors intact even when the sun sets or the night comes, and even when you place colored lights or torches next to the painted item. Monoliths, however, can still affect it. Personally, if I had to pick between the 2 of them to remove, as much as I find a lot of uses for it and as much as I love having it around, I would gladly trade in illuminant paint for echo paint instead of negative paint. Negative paint provides more alternative colors than illuminant paint, which just removes the shadows from a block, wall, or item. In my opinion, negative paint bridges that gap between the paint colors that we were provided and the paint colors we don't have. The second option is not giving up any paint colors, but giving up on echo paint. What are we actually losing by saying no to echo paint? Or rather, what could echo paint add to building? What echo paint would essentially do is make items invisible. There are many useful applications to this kind of paint. You could hide traps and make invisible mazes with any item, not just blocks. Imagine having invisible doors that you can program with wires or even invisible torches, which would light up your build but won't completely destroy the aesthetic if torches themselves do not fit the theme. You can also use them on items like teleporters, fog machines, chimneys, so they won't look out of place. And for those of you who like clipping sprites on T-Edit to make it look a certain way, this could be one of the safer ways to do it. You won't have to worry about your build breaking just because you swung your pickaxe on one of the items. But of course, unlike clipping sprites on T-Edit, you won't be able to place those clips together. If the items covered in Echo Paint would be revealed with goggles like Echo Blocks, having hidden builds would also make for a really interesting dynamic. In the case of adventure maps, some places might just be revealed to you after you were provided with Spectre goggles. Of course, by not giving up our paint slots, we'll be able to keep our current builds from getting messed up once they remove a paint from the game. To be honest, it's kind of a difficult decision, and I would rather not have a feature removed to make way for a new one if it can be helped. I do have some alternative ideas regarding this matter, and I kind of agree with this Twitter comment by Chaos where he suggested an item that acts like an actuator that illuminates the block. But then, that would mean that the block would gain a whole new property or state, and I'm actually not sure how possible it is because, like I said, I'm not a programmer. But for the moment, let's entertain the thought that it was possible. How would it be done? Right now, a single block can be painted a color, hammered into a shape, and actuated at the same time. Now, if there were to be a fourth state, which is making an item luminous, I would actually suggest that we go even further. Instead of having negative paint, echo paint, and luminous paint, we could have another item that can do all three, or those three things separately on top of paint instead. I mean, just imagine the range of color that you can get if you can use negative paint on top of all the existing paint. You'd have twice the amount of colors. If you use luminous paint on top of other paint, it will make creating 3D looking Terraria builds a whole lot easier because you have several different shades of each color, and you'd get to create with a larger variety of options. If you use Echo Paint on top of existing paint, it will make your hidden builds certainly interesting. Actually, now that I think about it, it might not be so bad to have the option of overlaying two paints together. If you can have that option, you could just get rid of shadow paint because you can imitate what it does by overlapping two black paints together. You won't even need to make a new paint item. You just need to create a new tool where you could just put two paints in it and it'll just paint blocks, walls, and items that way. Guys, please think about it. It would be such a game changer. Now, of course, like I said, I'm not a programmer. I don't know if any of this is possible. I might just be giving Relogic a headache, but I just wanted to put it out there because maybe, just maybe, my idea could influence something in the game, or maybe in Terraria 2 when it happens. Or maybe someone decides to make a mod out of it. I don't know. Anyways, thank you for attending my Terraria talk. That's all I have for this video. I appreciate you for watching all the way, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, comment what you think, and subscribe for more. But for now, I'm just gonna go do my thing, and you guys do your thing, and I'll see you guys later. Take it easy, stay cheesy.